Mr. Hannibal the Victor 13. You, sir, are a complete idiot. So, you want to spew forth all these crazy ideas and things like that, and then you're saying that there's no proof. Well, let's give you a little bit of proof, okay? So let's do a little play-by-play of your video. I'm going to play your video, and then I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to make a video and response, and we'll splice it all together, and I'm going to prove that you, sir, are nothing but a mangina and a complete idiot. You're like an ostrich who sticks his head in the sand and expects that because you don't see the evil won't affect you. Here's the thing. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about the feminists. It's not about the MRAs. It's about our children, asshole. Now, before I get into a little play-by-play, I want to expose a little something to everybody else that might agree with you or something like that. What you're doing is like quote mining. You picked two idiots and however many other idiots that are involved in the MRA who are right-wing extremist assholes, and you group it together and use that as your proof that all MRAs are this way, all MRAs are misogynist, all MRAs hate women, all MRAs this, all MRAs that. Wow. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like something that Hitler said right before Kristallnacht, the Crystal Night, when they went and they broke all the windows and whatnot of the Jewish shop owners. And before you say anything, mi babsha mi Jidush, my grandmother, my grandfather, spent time in Auschwitz. So I know what I'm talking about. In fact, my mother learned how to count by the tattoos on their arms. So I know what I'm talking about a little bit. I grew up in that. So don't you go there and say that because there's a couple idiots out there, then therefore the whole MRA movement is bullshit. You're bullshit. And I'm going to go through this. I'm going to tell you my facts. I'm going to tell you my sources. And I'm going to prove to you that you, sir, are complete and total bullshit. Your whole video. And I don't cuss on YouTube, but assholes like you get me going. Idiots like you who totally disregard the entire future of our children as a self-serving idiot. So your first point was that women don't really have any power in academia. Are you blind? Alright. Forbes magazine. Let me read you a little something from Forbes magazine. Since the 1970s, more women have been getting into college and graduating from college. In fact, the ratio is 60 to 40. For every 60 women that graduate college, only 40 men graduate college. In fact, the only state in the United States where it is very close, but yet still dropping, is Utah. Every single other state, there is drastically more females graduating college than males. And if you're asking yourself, well, how does this affect our children? Do you really have to ask that question? Wouldn't you rather your child have an equal opportunity to graduate from college? But they don't. The educational system is geared heavily towards women. Don't believe me? Go to your local schools. Ask them how many female teachers there are versus male teachers. Okay, so now let's spew forth some numbers, factual numbers. Notice I said factual. Okay, so we're going to say just public schools. We'll leave out the private and the private not-for-profit schools for now. I'll get to those in just a minute. But let's talk about just public colleges. U.S. average for males is 6,087,811 enrollments. Now, this is just enrollments. When it comes to graduations, it gets even worse. 6,087,811 men. 7,868,803 women. Now, all this information is coming from Forbes magazine, but when you do your research, and I encourage you to do your own research, as I always do, they're all pretty much alike. They're all very, very close. So that's almost an entire 1 million more women than men, and that's just in the public sector. Now, let's get to the private sector. Now, the private for-profit colleges, U.S. average, 2,088,380 men, 3,042,281 women. Again, a difference of almost a full million. In fact, it's only 46,000 shy, a little less than 46,000 shy of being a straight 2 million. It's a pretty big difference. Add those up and there's 2 million for every 1 million men that are going, and this is just enrollment, that are enrolling in college. Only 1 million men are enrolling in college, mostly because they're not graduating from high school. Now let's go to the private not-for-profit high schools. Again, 1,554,980 men, 2,106,539 females. So, out of all three sectors, the public, the private for-profit, and the private not-for-profit colleges, the total number is for every 1 million men who are enrolling in college, 3 million women are enrolling in college. How does this affect our children? Do I really need to tell you? I hope not. So, Mr. Hannibal the Victor 13, let me dumb it down for you, since it seems that that's the only way that you're going to take notice and pull your head out of the sand. Let's call it for every 10. Now, the ratio of 3 million to 1 million is 3 to 1. So that means for every 3 women who go to college, only 1 man. Which means for every 6 women that go to college, only 2 men. Which means that every 9 women that go to college, it's only 3 males. So if you have children and you have a male child and a female child, your female child is 3 times more likely to have the opportunity to go to college, because our educational system is failing our young men again. And I seem to have to repeatedly remind people like you, Mr. Hannibal the Victor 13, that it is not about me. It is not about you. It is not about feminism. It is not about the MRAs. It is about our children. Our children are our future. And you're telling me that you're okay with our male children being left completely in the dust in education? You're okay with that? You're an idiot. Okay, so the next thing you mention is Sweden and how the feminist organizations in Sweden have no power. Like I said, mi babcian, mi Żyduś, they're Polish. I have family members in Sweden, Poland, the Ukraine. I am very up to date on the laws and the politics in that little nook of the world. And if you don't believe the feminists have power in Sweden, then you have definitely not done your research. I encourage you to go back, get on the internet, go to any Swedish law university and look up the most current laws, mind you, not suggestions, but things that were actually enacted into law. And then come back and send me a video telling me what you found and try to convince me that feminists don't run Sweden. France is getting there too. But before you speak about stuff that you don't know, you gotta realize something. You can't bullshit people like me. Okay, so on the next part in your video, you say that all MRAs are miscreants and they're misogynists and it's hate against women. Well, at least with those statements, you have shown your true colors. I'm an MRA. I am a men's rights activist. Why am I an MRA? Because I believe in the rights of our young men, our children, the young ones, the ones that can't speak for themselves. And you, sir, have just revealed the fact that you are indeed a feminist. How do I know this? by your own words. All MRAs are misogynists. I'm not misogynistic. I respect women. I respect women very much. I don't hate women. I love women. I just think that our young men are getting left behind as far as our society, our Western society. Let me correct that before I get 20 billion comments. Our Western society today. That's what I'm dealing with. This is where I live, and I firmly believe we need to clean our own backyard before we can tell our neighbors how to clean their backyard. And right now, our backyard, it's the men picking up the garbage, and it's the women sipping tea and getting educations. That's where we're at. What opportunities would you want for our young men today? Well, if it were up to you, we would turn a blind eye and let things go as they're going already. Now, at least there is one thing that you and I agree on. Yes, I do believe that all rape allegations should be thoroughly investigated. I believe in that. I don't hate women, not one bit. But what I do believe is that women should not be allowed to hide behind the law in order to purposely and maliciously get revenge. And then, when it's found out that they have made these false rape allegations and destroyed these men's lives, that nothing happens to them. The Duke lacrosse team, after it was found out that they were innocent, they went on the Steve Wilkos show. So what happened on the Steve Wilkos show? Even though it was proven that they were innocent, the audience boos them. One audience member actually has the gall to stand up and say, well, I hope you learned from this lesson. What? That, sir, is the society that we live in. The word of a woman is law. All a woman has to do is say, he raped me. And even if it's not true, that man's life is over, and society will look at that man, even if it's proven that he's innocent, and say, well, maybe he'll learn from the lesson. Nobody ever says, man, that sucks. That woman should go to jail. Well, the MRAs say that. But because that's equal. Equality is this. If you can look at one side and say that this happened, but then reverse the roles, if it doesn't make sense when you reverse the roles, then it's not equal. What if a man had falsely accused 4 women of raping him, and it's proven that they did it maliciously? It's found out that the women were innocent, and then they go on the Steve Wilkos show and the women get booed. That would never happen. Why? Because she is woman. That's why. Look, if women were in a position where I believe that there was a gender disparity against women, I would be fighting for women's rights, but it's just not so. It's just not so. The young men today have an uphill battle in so many different areas. So I choose to fight for our young men. I'm not fighting for you. I'm not fighting for me. I'm not fighting for the MRAs. But I have to be an MRA because this is the only movement that is actually fighting for men's rights that affect our youth, our future. You're being self-serving, Mr. Hannibal the Victor 13. You're serving your own self. Not once do I hear you mention anything about our future. And that, sir, is fucked up. Okay, so the next thing you mention is a disparity in pay between the genders. No, there is not a gender disparity as far as payment goes. Women, and statistically, and again, do your own research. Don't take what I say, it's God's honest truth. I've done my own research, so I already know the truth. I want you to do the research and find out your own truth. Men generally work a lot more hours than women. And on an hourly job, that's what matters. If a man works 60 hours a week and a woman works 40 hours a week, of course the man is going to make more money. Now, do I have to go back to that whole Wimbledon incident where when you break it down to the sets, the women play 3 entire sets less than men, which is why they made less than men? So now women make the equal amount that men do in Wimbledon, yet they play 3 sets less. So per set, women make much more than men. You have been misled, sir. Misled. Okay, so now we get to the issue of reproductive rights. It's a pretty touchy subject. Yes, the woman carries the child. Yes, the woman takes that risk. Do you know how risky it is for a woman to give birth in our highly advanced medical society today? Not very risky. Not very risky at all. But you're saying that a man has no right to his child. No right whatsoever to his child. A man and a woman, as you stated earlier in your video, enter into a civil union. But yet, when a woman gets pregnant, she is the only one who can decide whether she can get an abortion or not. If the man wants the child, he considers it murder, and he wants that child, he has no say whatsoever in that child's future. No say whatsoever. So therefore, by your own volition, you have stated that men do not get a choice in their child's life. They do not get a choice in the future. They don't get a choice. It's all up to the woman. If the woman says that she wants to murder her baby, then that's fine. And the man cannot say anything against it. The man has no rights whatsoever to their child. And you're going to tell me that there isn't any area in which the men don't have rights? Dude, nobody's believing your bullshit. I'm a bullshit caller, and I'm calling your bullshit. Okay, so now to the part about your father. Principles, dignity, ethics, and honor. In that statement, you said, no MRA has any of those. I'll bet you my wife would say that I have all of those and more. Now, when my wife's girlfriends come over, I sleep on the couch, and I let them sleep in the bed if they're spending the night. Why? Because it's proper. Because I have honor. Because I have dignity. Because I have respect. I respect women. I respect women very much. So don't you go over there and say all MRAs do this and all MRAs do that. You're a misandrist prick. Okay. So then you say that all MRAs are a bunch of whining, complaining little brats who don't have it that bad and don't have it as bad as someone who's starving and this and that. Motherfucker, I am one of those people who's starving. The last 2 weeks of every month, my wife and I have to worry where we get our food from. But I still take the time to voice and defend our youth, our small children who cannot defend themselves. You self-serving, high horse prick. Get the hell off your high horse and come back down to reality here. Really? You're going to say that people are privileged and they're putting up this bullshit and they're just pulling all these facts from reputable resources in order to prove their point? Motherfucker, our point is proven. And nobody's buying your fucking bullshit. And again, I don't cuss on YouTube very much, but motherfuckers like you just piss me off. Okay. So then you're going to sit there and you're going to say that I use the fact that I'm an MRA and that there's oppression by women in order to use that as an excuse that when I get angry to jack my wife in the jaw. You are a fucking piece of work. You know that, you little shit? You are a real fucking piece of work. You're the kind of guy that walks down the street and looks at other men and says, that man is a rapist and abuses his wife and rapes women and things like that. What the hell do you think you are? What the hell do you think our young men today think when they hear things like that? Huh? Do you think you're serving the future? You're not. You're being self-serving, and you're being the whiny little brat that you're accusing all MRAs of being. You are a fucking piece of work, dude. Think about our future. What harm is it doing to our children, our young boys and our young girls, to hear, oh, all men are rapists? Anybody who stands up for men's rights is a misogynist looking for an excuse to sock his wife in the jaw and get away with it. You're a piece of work, dude. I love my wife to death. I tell her every day that I love her and that she's the most beautiful woman in the world, because to me, she is the most beautiful woman in the world. So don't you fucking sit there and say MRAs use the men's rights movement to say that they can rape and abuse women and sock women and get away with it. Fuck you, dude. Okay. So then you go into this part where you say that all MRAs think that if a woman dresses provocatively, then she's inviting rape. Really? I don't think that. None of the men in my life think that. None of them. There is no excuse for rape, whether it's by a man, a woman, or anybody. So there you go again. Being a misandrous person saying all MRAs, the only reason that they're an MRA is to say things like that. That if a woman wears short shorts or short skirt or halter top or whatever, that she's inviting rape. Are you really serving our future doing that? Are you really looking after our children doing that? No, you're not. You are being self-serving and an idiot. You're telling our young men a horrible, horrible message. Our young men deserve a chance at the future too, don't they? And then you go on to say that all of us living our carefree lives without a care in the world for the most part. Motherfucker, I still find the time to fight for the rights of our young men. Yet the last 2 weeks of every single month, my wife are scrambling to figure out where we're going to eat, how we're going to get food, how we're going to survive. Privileged, huh? Okay, so now that all the cussing is over, and I've got my point out, and I've yelled, and I apologize for all the cussing, but self-serving idiots really get to me. Brass tacks is the future. That is our very purpose for our very existence, is to benefit our future. And are we benefiting our future by doing things like you, Mr. Hannibal the Victor 13, are doing, and saying that all men, all MRAs do this? No, we don't. You need to look at your future. Are you benefiting it? Are you helping it? I'd like to hope that I am. I love women. I don't knock the feminist movement. But I do see a lot of gender disparities against males in today's society. I see a lot of bias against males in today's society. And I don't give a shit about MRAs. I don't give a shit about feminism. I don't give a shit about you. I don't give a shit about me. What I do care about is our future. And right now our young men have more of an uphill battle than our young women do. That's what it's about. It's about our future. So please, stop being so damn self-serving. America, you're still beautiful. I still love you. I still, through all the bullshit that I go through every month and every day, have faith in humanity as a whole. Thank you for your time.